Hello and welcome. I am so excited to be here with you, and I'm very grateful for this platform that connects each one of us to new opportunities. My name is Jana Masick. I am the host of LinkedIn Live broadcast Powering Unique You. And today I have a very special guest, Tiffany Castagno, that joins me to have a good conversation about leadership. Hello, Tiffany.
Hello, Jana. How are you?
Welcome. I'm good. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Yeah, me too. Thanks.
Yes. With that, I would love for you to start and share with us your professional journey and where you are right now, and share what you would love to know about you.
Sure. Thanks again for having me on. I absolutely love telling my story. I'm working in HR right now, and I absolutely have such a passion for it and helping people. And I think this is going to be a great time here talking about our topic here. I started out actually. I've had a couple careers. So I started out actually in legal billing or in medical billing, and then moved into legal billing and went back to school, decided to see what HR was all about and fell in love with it, have not looked back since. So truly my calling, I feel, and a passion. So I just transitioned from an HR management role at a tech company. And so right now I'm giving myself some grace and freedom to explore some new opportunities and to bring education to people and really just explore what that's like and be able to help individuals and impact their lives in human resources.
That's fantastic. And Tiffany, you and I connected here on LinkedIn.
We did.
I love how this platform can bring us together, being in different states, in different countries, sometimes in different cities. And when we had a conversation together, you shared that you also leading a very special program for the organization that helps the girls to learn be more techy. Can you share about that?
Yeah, so I am head of people programs for a nonprofit called Girls Plus Data. A very enriching experience. We are actually all remote. So just as you and I are in two different states, everyone is a volunteer with Girls Plus Data, and anything from human resources to tech to marketing, social media. We have a vast array of volunteers who volunteer time outside of their regular day jobs. And this, when I say this is an engaged team, it just makes me so happy to be able to be on the people side of this. And so we actually do data camps for young women to teach them that it's not just about programming and coding, but we really give them the confidence to be future women in data and tech. And we teach them data literacy. They get an opportunity to present the information that they've come up with throughout the day. And it's a really great time to be able to watch that unfold.
Yes, I love that. And I love how you also shared that with you volunteering your time and empowering these young girls and mentoring them and being a part of such an organization, you've been able to partner with the different types of people and learn some new techie skills yourself, right?
I have, yes. Who would have thought?
That's very interesting. Well, coming into today's topic, you and I feel really both feel passionate about leadership. And leadership right now is, to me, is, sometimes people feel leadership is only for those that have title behind their back and they have maybe leading corporations or organizations. They feel those people are leaders. How I see leadership is that you and I and every one of us and you as a listener is a leader. You are leading yourself first of all in your life and your career, and you're leading your teams, maybe your families, maybe a friend, maybe your spouse. So, I would like for us to have a conversation around leadership in this time with this view that each one of us is a leader. First of all, to ourselves, and second of all, to others around us. And as leaders, how can we utilize certain strategies and taking into consideration the professional setting, right? For those of us that do have teams that we work with, how do we exhibit and how do we take some strategies in place in this real crisis situation? So, what are your take on the leadership? And the first strategy that we have is knowing yourself and be authentic.
Ooh, that's a great one, Yana. I think, we have to be self-aware if we expect that of our teams. Starting there and being self-aware is so critical. So knowing yourself, knowing what makes you uniquely you, celebrating that, bringing that 100% to your are responsible for those in our charge. And so if we're not self-aware and we don't know how to leverage our strengths or know what our opportunities are, how do we lead then a team, a high performing team, to say, here's how I develop you and here are your opportunities? So we first need to do some inward reflection and be ready to roll up our sleeves and recognize that what we want may not be what our team wants. So asking those curious questions and really being tapped into what our team wants and needs, and not just making it about what we think is best for them.
Yes, this is really good. So, starting with knowing yourself and also being authentic with yourself. The second, that's the first strategy we've talked about. And the second strategy, Tiffany, you and I agreed upon is to knowing your team, right? And also looking for
Mhm.
their well being. And how do you feel it is important right now?
Yes, so this one is absolutely, it's critical and your responsibility as a leader always, but especially right now, don't check out and be the absentee boss. No one likes that in general. And right now, your team needs you to focus. Decisions have to be made that are more difficult than ever. None of us saw this COVID crisis coming. And so it's very important to check in without an agenda to say, hey, how are you doing? Are you adjusting to your workspace? I myself am adjusting to having a spouse in the workplace. And so that's very different. People have children that are now home from school, and other responsibilities. I think what else comes along with that is knowing and understanding that work may not be top of mind for people right now. These are unprecedented times, and it's super important to check in to say, how are you doing? Are you okay? What additional support can I provide you with? I had a really cool discussion with a leader earlier this week, and he told me he almost expected loss of productivity for the first week. And to be that powerful of a leader, to own that and to be transparent with this team, to say, hey, I get it, but I'm here. I have your back. I will support you. I will be accessible and available to you. That is magic. That is leadership magic. And I was just so grateful to be a part of that conversation. It's so important to let your team know that you're there for them, not just, hey, how are you coming along on that assignment or dishing out more work, right? We want to know that our leaders care and that they have our backs.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And the third strategy that we've talked about is leading by example. And very much in this time, we're looking up to our leadership and we're also looking up to each other. How each one of us, are adapting and adjusting in this situation. So, what are your take on this?
That one, I definitely would say, we have to adapt and adjust. And that's leadership 101. But right now, many of us are feeling the effects of that and the impacts more so than ever. To be a leader is to be human. To be human is to be human. And that means that we're going to err sometimes. So I think that there is this huge fallacy out there that we have to be perfect. That is a myth. We are human and it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to let your team know that you don't have all the answers. So give yourself some grace. But to lead by example, you and I had a fantastic discussion earlier this week as well. And we talked about being the leader that you want to have. And so that's role modeling behavior looks good. If you expect your team to have certain behaviors and conduct in the workplace, then you need to emulate that as well. And so it's being responsible and accountable and doing what you say you're going to do, following up. it's, even with one-on-ones and continuous development, sometimes when we're busy and our calendars clog up, it's really easy to push back or to cancel our direct reports one-on-one. That's not necessarily the best thing. And especially right now, people need that stability and they're relying on you to keep their spirits high, to keep them engaged. And frankly, that's going to go a long way towards retaining them in the end. They'll remember that you had their back and that you cared and that you did what you said you would do.
Yes, I love that. I love that perspective that you shared, Tiffany, because it is a human relationship, right? We build human relationships in the workplace, and it's a little bit easier when you get to see each other in person. It's a little bit more difficult when you don't get to see each other. So extending that opportunity and checking in, and coming up, showing authentically, checking in for the well-being, and also knowing that you truly care and your team can feel that is truly impactful and important, I believe, for even for moving forward. It's, I feel, for most of us it is day by day situation
Yes,
right now, right? So we would
very much so.
segue. Yeah, I agree. We would segue into this leading by example, and you touched a little bit on that, into the fourth strategy that we came together in agreement, the developing the sense of responsibility and accountability. And they go both ways, right? It goes to the leaderships, those who
Mhm.
see themselves as leaders, and then also how
Mhm.
do you project that on the people you lead.
Mhm. So it's definitely something where you want to be present, and I think it's too, being honest about what's going on. It's not easy. This is not something we saw coming around the corner, and so how could you have all the answers or no? You just have to make the best decisions that you can, and it's okay to say that to your team. I think right now people almost expect their leaders to be vulnerable because we're all kind of vulnerable in this situation when we've never faced something like this before. So it's being honest with your team. It's not, as a leader, always the greatest news that you have to share. There's information out there that is not so pretty, and it's not glamorous. It's not fun to share. But as a leader, it's your responsibility for sharing that with your team, and you have to be accountable to what you share, and what decisions you make as a leader, and that you impart onto your team. So I think that that's so important. But on the flip side of that, although we have to share sometimes information that's tough and tough messages, you may not as a leader be on the front side of popular decisions, but at the same time, it's very important to also celebrate the good. So don't lose sight of celebrating with your team. We don't have to be all doom and gloom right now. We absolutely should always celebrate, and I love good celebration. But now, if any time, celebrate that with your team, what you've accomplished in the face of adversity, because this is not easy. And so I think that's super, super important.
Yes, I love that celebration, and acknowledgement. And sometimes we wait until something big happens to celebrate and acknowledge. And I feel we do that even to ourselves, right? We just wait that we will do something very phenomenal, and then we will be ready to celebrate. But in the moments like this, and in any time, it's good to notice smaller things, to take a to take an approach that even in the smaller wins, it is best to recognize that and then celebrate it for ourselves and for those we lead. So I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Love a good
good.
small win.
Yes, that's true. And so we've covered knowing yourself, showing up authentically, number one. Number two, know your team and care for their well-being. Number three, lead by example. Number four, develop the sense of responsibility and accountability. And number five is empowerment, right? Empowering yourself and empowering those you lead. So how do you see that, Tiffany?
That is, I think that goes along with everything we've talked about. It wraps it up in a nice little bow. It is celebrating your team. It's being responsible and doing all the things that you said you would do. it's making sure that you're still invested in them and their development, that you're checking in on them, and you're celebrating, whether it's a small win or a large win. I think that that is so critical. How do you bring them to the next step in development in their career, and celebrate that? You at the very beginning when we started, you talked about titles, and so people do get so hung up on titles, and we lead in so many different ways, which is the beauty of it. And talk about
Mhm.
empowerment, that in and of itself is powerful. The different ways that we can lead, and so it's maybe enriching someone's job, or maybe people have tasks right now that they've never done. So it's modeling the way, helping them learn something new, showing them how to collaborate, and celebrating them when they do, and really just helping them along on their journey to whatever that is. And one of the things that I've seen in HR is that people tend to want to, I get it, you have a high performer, they're yours, they're knocking it out of the park, and you just want to hold on to them. But we can't be selfish, and if they have other aspirations, we have to empower them to let them run and fly, and also be proud, because we've now gotten them there to the next level or to their career aspirations. And I think that is so important, for leaders to understand and to accept that maybe they'll move on from us someday, but we want to have a part in empowering them on their journey.
Yes, I love that. I love that, the thoughts that you shared with us. And I would add to that something that I've listened to and I've shared with you earlier is there's so many things we cannot control around us right now, right? There's so many things outside of us that are out of our control. However, the empowerment ties into what can I control, right? And one of the things that we all of us can control is our attitude, is our outlook on life and what we focus on, right? Are we focusing on all this negativity that is so much around us right now? And I know there's a lot of challenges, especially for those that have smaller businesses and the businesses that completely been stalled, and there's a lot of difficult decisions. But then also, I believe that there needs to be a shift in all of these situations. There's always something we can be grateful for, and we can shift our
Mm,
attitude, and we can look at things that we do have and that we can be grateful for, and that in itself is a part of the personal empowerment. And as we do that and we still generate the positive energy from within, then we're like a candle, like a little candle, will lead each other. So what I love about our connection, that I feel you're very, very energetic, you're a very positive
oh, thank you.
person, and
Thanks.
you could sense it when you have a conversation with a person that is uplifted. Then we all share that energy together. So as a leader, you do need to empower yourself to start, in the midst of difficult situations and decisions, to start looking at some positivities and bring some of that light, some of that positivity to your team, that
Hmm.
may be struggling with so many other things that are happening around, as well.
Yeah,
So it's
great.
checking in. I think it's just checking in on each other. And I've received a couple nice messages from some of my colleagues in the industry, in the mobility relocation industry as well, just checking in. No agenda, right? Just saying hi, how are you, how things are going on for you, can I be of
Hmm.
service? So those are small gestures. They seem to be insignificant, but right now they're truly significant and could be magnified and bring, maybe lighten up somebody's day.
Yeah, that I'm so glad you said that, because right now we're in, as many of us describe, our new normal. And I hope that, as many of us do, and as I'm having conversations within my network, that this is our new normal, or what I've started calling our new normal, that we do continue to reach across, collaborate, not hold things to our chest, because we're stronger and better together. And the
Mm-hmm.
way that I've watched this community pull together through this, the way that I've partnered with different people, the number of people I've been able to help even throughout this. I'm mentoring some individuals, and I just think it's so important when we talk about empowerment and leadership and all of those great traits and what type of leader we want to be, we want to emulate. How do we show up? Are we the leader that we would want to have? And right now, is perfect. And I hope that these efforts continue post COVID, even because we need to have habits that stick.
Yes, absolutely. And developing these good habits, sometimes in the time of crisis, our resiliency is revealed and our character is revealed. And these are the testing times where, we cannot afford to be dormant. We cannot afford to just be kind of a lukewarm, wishy-washy, right? This is the time
Yeah.
where we need to have an intention and intentionally generate as much positive and as much positive energy and as much of us being of service and supporting, looking out for our own well-being, right? Physical, mental, emotional, but also looking out for well-being of those around you. And on the funny note, I told you I couldn't find the glass, so I found this glass. But I'm drinking water. So,
but you're hydrated. You're hydrated.
so yes, I was looking around the glass, and my kids replaced them somewhere. I said, "Well, I'm just gonna grab this one." But a little bit of humor too, right? So we need some
Yes,
humor in life as well, and
absolutely.
we can definitely uplift each other through this time. So I hope this message is helpful and beneficial to our listeners. And if you have any
Yeah.
questions for myself or for Tiffany, please do drop them down in the comments. I will be happy to respond to you. And Tiffany, we'll just wrap up on some of the larger takeaways that we've talked about, and how would you summarize and what is the summary advice would you give to our listeners?
Sure. I would say, checking in and checking in often without an agenda is critical, especially right now. People need to feel your presence as a leader, and we need to check in on our family, on our loved ones, and our colleagues. And so many people are doing so many fun, creative things, and that's so important to stick to. As a leader, give yourself the grace of forgiveness and not putting so many high expectations on yourself. I know for me, I have a super high bar of expectations for any and everything that I do, and so I have to practice that and remind myself of that as well. But it's also, back to the self-awareness and responsibility, remembering always that you have people who are in your charge and you're responsible for them. And so you want to care for them just as you would with your family and make sure that they're taken care of. I would say just kindness always, and positivity, because we don't know how long this is going to last, and it's not the most fun thing to go through. But I will say that we are learning some great lessons here that I do hope become habits that stick, and how we're coming together as organizations and reaching across, and just speaking of reaching across, not being afraid to reach across to a colleague or to ask a question. Where none of us are perfect and none of us have all the answers. And I think if we practice that, it's not only going to make us stronger leaders, but it's going to make us better and more whole as a community.
Yes, I love that. I love that final note from you, Tiffany. Thank you so much again for joining today. And I firmly believe that by sharing our
Thanks for
real life
having me.
lessons, we can help each other. Yes, absolutely. We can help each other, and we can, encourage each other and inspire each other to make better choices for ourselves, to be better leaders, and ultimately change this world to be a better place. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Have a
Take
good day.
care. You too. Bye bye.
Bye.